It was a standard day for Timbo. He was sitting on his couch, singing bad karaoke for an audience of 8, replacing random lyrics with potato words. Badly. We are the Dooleys. We are the Dooleys of Tato. Da da do, da di da. Take Potato Sam. He knows the spud. The chat was barren, except for one of his mods, giving him false encouragement. As Sultans of Swing was butchered savagely, the front door of his apartment flew open with a loud thunk, loud enough to startle Timbo into dropping his glass of Coke. The front door wasn't visible from where he was, so he naturally needed to go investigate what happened. Also naturally, he wasn't eager to do so. The trolls in chat weren't about to let it go. So Potato Jesus, are you gonna go see what that noise was? Or just pretend nothing happened as usual? Timbo's eyes darted between the chat and the doorway, his fingers gripping the armrest of his chair. He let out a nervous chuckle, shifting in his seat as if considering whether ignoring it long enough might make the problem go away. Tim Dooley doesn't jump just because some noise happens, okay? Probably just wind or something, he muttered, reaching for his Coke only to find the spilled puddle on the floor. His lips pressed together. Great, just great. His mod chimed in. Yeah, probably nothing. Just keep singing, Tim. Haters want you scared. But the trolls weren't letting it go. Wind strong enough to throw open a locked door? LMAO. So scared he's gonna pretend it's not happening. Classic. Maybe the ghost of Christmas past is here to show you how much of a loser you've always been. Timbo exhaled sharply, puffing up his chest like he was about to prove them wrong, but his feet stayed planted on the floor. He glanced at the webcam, then at the darkened hallway leading to the entrance. Tim Dooley will check it, all right? Just chill, he finally said, standing up with the confidence of a man who already regretted his decision. He wiped his sweaty hands on his sweatpants and cautiously stepped toward the hallway, moving as if the air itself might attack him. Chat erupted with laughing emojis as he disappeared from view. As he rounded the corner, he was faced with a middle-aged man in what looked like ancient Greek garb. His robe was large, kind of like he was hauling around a bedsheet, yet somehow it managed not to cover up his slong. Mouth agape, Timbo stood frozen as the intruder brushed past him into the apartment. He barely managed to get the word "hey" out of his mouth before the man started urinating on his couch. Timbo's face twisted in horrified disbelief. His hands twitched at his sides, caught between the instinct to shoo the man away and the overwhelming urge to just shut down and pretend this wasn't happening. Hey, what the fuck, man? You can't just...
Don't be so fucking dramatic, you little turd,
he says, adjusting his grip on his robe, still making no effort to cover himself.
It's just some piss.
Timbo stammered, his voice cracking as he watched the stream soak into the fabric. The man sighed with exaggerated relief, like he had just found an oasis in the desert. The man finally finished, giving himself an unceremonious shake before turning to face Timbo, his expression blank yet vaguely amused.
You don't recognize me?
He asked, tilting his head.
You've compared yourself to me in the past several times.
A pause. Chat slowed, as if everyone collectively leaned in. Timbo swallowed hard. What?
You are an even greater fool than I was led to believe. You've earned this.
Then, without hesitation, he squatted over the wet spot on Timbo's couch and dropped a smelly deuce. Timbo recoiled as the unmistakable sound of a hefty deposit splattering onto the already soaked couch filled the room. His brain struggled to process what he was seeing, what everyone was seeing. Chat exploded. No way. Bro just dropped a save point. He marked his territory Lemfeo. Timbo got shitted on fur. The smell hit. Timbo staggered back, one hand clamping over his mouth, the other waving wildly in front of his face as if he could physically push the stench away. What the fuck, man? What the fuck? Who even are you? The man, completely unbothered, as if this were the most natural thing in the world, adjusted his robe and stood tall.
I am Diogenes of Sinope, moron.
Timbo blinks. The name means something, but not enough for his muddled brain to place it. Diogenes gestures lazily at the mess he's made.
I came to see if you were a man of virtue, if you possessed even a fraction of wisdom.
He scoffs.
But I see now you are nothing but a fraud, a beggar of admiration, a man who demands reverence while refusing to earn it.
Timbo's fingers twitch. His breath is coming in short, angry gasps, his face burning with indignation. Bullshit! You broke into Tim Dooley's apartment, pissed on Tim Dooley's couch, and now you're shitting on Tim Dooley's life? The single slow nod.
Yes.
Chat detonates. Goat response. Timbo got out philosophized by a homeless time traveler. Pack it up, Tim. This dude is the real potato Jesus. But before Timbo can launch into his defense, before he can come up with some grand Tim Dooley-style explanation, Diogenes extends a single, calloused hand. From nowhere, a weathered, crinkled piece of parchment materializes in his palm. He lets it drop. It flutters through the piss-tinged air, lazily spiraling downward until it lands with a wet slap right in the middle of the soaked, shit-stained couch. Timbo stares at it. Diogenes smirks.
Read it, fraud.
But before Timbo can launch into his defense, before he can come up with some grand Tim Dooley-style explanation, Diogenes says,
You are a fraud, pretending to be many things you most certainly are not.
Timbo opens his mouth, but Diogenes isn't finished. He steps forward, his bare feet slapping against the piss-slick floor.
You heard a story about how I asked Alexander the Great to step aside and stop blocking the light. In that giant head of yours, you simply thought, yes, that is what I'd do. Diogenes, that's me. Reality has come, Thomas. You are nothing like me. Look at you. Look at this decadent abode. A true cynic doesn't need garbage like pants.
Timbo's mouth shuts. A flicker of recognition crosses his face. Because yes, he had thought that before. He had imagined himself as some misunderstood genius, shutting down kings with effortless wit. A potato Diogenes, a sage of the internet age. Diogenes snorts, as if reading his mind.
You simply assumed I must have been something like a more fiery Socrates or Aristotle, the rebel among rebels. But you don't know me at all. Your surprise at the most basic and natural traits of the human body is proof of that.
He gestures to the couch, where his gift still steams atop the urine-stained cushion. We are nothing alike. Chat explodes, owned LMAO. Timbo thought he was Diogenes, but Diogenes thinks he's a bitch. Bro, this is literally his worst nightmare. Timbo getting schooled by a naked philosopher is not what I expected today. Timbo's entire face is twitching now. His fingers curl and uncurl, his jaw clenched so tight his teeth might crack. Diogenes watches him with a smirk, arms crossed over his bare chest. His posture is relaxed, almost lazy, like a man observing an animal at a zoo, mildly curious but wholly unimpressed.
You obviously fancy yourself as a true cynic,
he says, voice dripping with amusement.
You take pride in questioning everything, yet cannot stand to be questioned yourself in regards to your beliefs and assertions.
Timbo hesitates. He doesn't like where this is going, but he can't not answer. That would be losing, and Tim Dooley does not lose. Yeah, he finally mutters, puffing his chest up just a little. Tim Dooley questions everything. That's how I get to the truth. Chat immediately starts roasting him. Timbo questions everything except the voices in his head. Bro literally fell for a fake AI girlfriend, but okay. Tim questioning everything, rejecting facts he doesn't like.
You are a poser. A true cynic should be willing to question himself. Well, for you, the only question is, why don't people like me?
He gestures broadly to the room, the apartment, the wretched life Timbo has built.
The answer is as simple as you're thinking. You are quite simply an enormously self-centered child in a man's, well, half of a man's body.
Timbo's eyes dart around his apartment as if seeing it for the first time. The glow of his monitor bathes the room in a sickly, artificial light. He sputters, trying to form a response. Tim Dooley. I don't need to justify.
No!
Diogenes interrupts, wagging a dirty finger.
You cannot wriggle your way out of this, Thomas. You spend your life here, alone, chasing away anyone who would dare to tell you the truth, yet moaning about why you have no real friends. It's a solitary prison of your own making, and you deserve to rot here until your body gives up the ghost. And even then, I feel like your ghost should be forced to remain in place for the rest of eternity. A symbol of a man who truly went nowhere and never grew past childhood.
Timbo glares. His breathing is getting heavier. His eye is twitching again. I don't need to prove anything to anyone. Tim Dooley.
Oh, but you do.
Diogenes interrupts with a laugh. He spreads his arms wide, still standing in the middle of Timbo's soiled apartment like an emissary of truth and filth alike.
You must prove everything, every second of your miserable existence. That is what liars must do. That is what cowards must do. That is what you never do, Thomas.
Timbo's hands ball into fists. Chat is on fire. Timbo, I don't need to prove anything. Also, Timbo makes 8-hour rebuttal video. Bro, he called you a fraud and you have no comeback? Take the pants off then. Let's see how cynical you really are. Again, toothy, wicked.
So tell me, Tim Dooley, are you going to keep lying to me? The most honest man there has ever been? Or perhaps you're simply lying to us both? Myself and yourself.
Timbo bristles, his nostrils flaring. His breathing has become uneven, shoulders rising and falling with each exhale. Tim Dooley does not lie.
Of course you do. You lie about your intelligence. You lie about your past. You even lie in the face of irrefutable evidence to the contrary. You're a damn joke, Tim Dooley. Potato of strife.
Timbo shakes his head, a nervous laugh bubbling up. He claps his hands together, forcing a smirk. You don't know what you're talking about. Diogenes raises an eyebrow, mocking.
Oh, really? Then please tell me, when was the last time you were completely honest about a story from your past? My favorites are your half-true stories, such as the one about when you crashed a scooter into a tree. You were drunk, heartbroken, and, as usual, dumb. You told people you were going 85 kilometers per hour, that you needed major reconstruction. But none of that was true, was it, Thomas? After all, if you had been going that fast, you would have shattered like a clay pot being sat upon by Andrew Ditch. And then there's the fantasy about making Donald Trump work at McDonald's. You, boy, quite simply, do not live in reality.
Timbo's jaw tightens. He doesn't answer. Chat, however, answers for him. LMAO, this man literally wrote a whole book about his own fake religion. He's getting cooked and all he can do is blink. Bro, tell him about how you invented anti-gravity next. Diogenes continues, his voice taking on a scornful edge.
You are to be given one final chance, Potato. One last chance to change your life's course and steer it away from the muddy mire you are currently firmly entrenched in. Between the two of us, I say this. You will fail. Failure, Thomas, is simply in your blood. It is part of your identity. You might even say it is your birthright. The details are on the parchment. Goodbye, fraud.
Chat is eating this up. LMAO, he put it in the poop pile. Read it, Tim, or are you scared of a little pee-pee paper? Bro has never been this quiet in his life. Timbo's hands twitch, but he does not move. He glares at the wretched paper, then at the empty space where Diogenes had stood. His brain scrambles for a way to dismiss what just happened, but all he manages to say is, "Pfft, that wasn't even real." Chat disagrees. Timbo's so shook he's doing the NPC stare. Denial is a hell of a drug. Man talking like he didn't just get ethereally shit on. Timbo's breathing is uneven now, but he refuses to acknowledge it. He forces a laugh, but it's thin, weak. Wait, you guys think this is funny? Funniest shit I've ever seen. Glad at Chat, his eye twitching. He looks at the soiled paper again. He hesitates. Then, carefully, gingerly, he leans forward and plucks it up, only holding the driest corner he can find. He unfolds it. Timbo's eye twitches violently. His fingers clench around the soiled paper, then instantly regret it. His face contorts in a mix of anger, disgust, and profound confusion. What the? He jerks his hand away, flinging the paper across the room like it just bit him. It lands face up on the floor, taunting him. Chat erupts. LMAO, bro got baited. No! He touched it. Imagine getting clowned on by a ghost and ancient diarrhea. Did you just accept a side quest, Timbo?